In the grand tradition of the Chunin exam, this episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations gives the viewer exactly what it wants. Watching children beat the shit out of one another. Is it just me, or is this entire Chunin exam going by really fast? I honestly thought that they were going to try and break up this portion of the Chunin exam, as there were a lot of battles which only lasted for a couple of seconds in the Boruto movie, and a lot of them we get to see play out exactly the same in this episode. However, there are some notable additions, such as a battle with Shikadai, Mitsuki battling against Toroi, as well as the build-up to the battle with Chocho and Shinki, which is kind of an odd matchup, and you can probably call who's going to win, but I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with this in the anime version, if they're actually going to expand on it, because that's a fight that we never really even saw in the movie version, and if you haven't seen that, I'm not going to give away who the actual victor is going to be. But this episode right here was really awesome, as Boruto and all of his friends got to have some pretty intense battles with all of these ninja from all of these different lands. Boruto ends up battling against Yurui, which is perfect because they've been building up their rivalry for the last couple of episodes, and it gives us more of an excuse to see him in action. And overall, his abilities revolve around using bubblegum. Basically, he's able to create these multicolored bubbles, which are incredibly explosive, and he ends up blowing so many of them that the entire battlefield has essentially transformed into a minefield, and Boruto has to strategically maneuver around all of these abilities without getting his shit blown up. And it comes to a point where he realizes that with his current abilities, he's not going to be able to take this guy down. That's when he reluctantly uses the ninja technology gauntlet and uses the wind-styled shuriken, which is a green shuriken, to trick him, ends up throwing a shuriken right into the bubble that Yurui is currently blowing, which explodes right in his face. This moment, of course, is pretty big, as Boruto now has no problems with using this, but now he's using it out in the open, where a lot of really powerful ninja can actually see what he's up to, and you can already tell that his father realizes that something is not quite right with this character. Aside from that, we also get a really intense battle where Shikadai battles against the female member from Shinki's team, and this is again another fight that we never got to see in the movie, and it's very unique, and it's also kind of an homage to Shikamaru's very first battle with Temari. We have a Konoha ninja going up against a blonde ninja from the Hidden Sand Village, and she happens to be using an ability very similar to Temari's, at least that's what it seems like at first. She's able to use her hair to create these massive waves, which at first I thought were wind, but they're actually sound waves, and this goes along with her entire shtick, where basically she has super sensitive hearing, and she's able to use her hair to create these like massive waves of sound destruction, and since she has such good hearing, she's able to hear what Shikadai is going to do in any situation. Just the way that his body moves, she knows exactly where he's going to go. That's when he utilizes a genius plan to end up creating all of these massive explosions, which of course dull her hearing, allowing him to get close, capture her with the shadow, and get her to give up in the match. It's pretty thrilling, and honestly, I loved this addition to the episode. Not to be outdone, we also have Sarada, whose battle in this is just as hilarious as it is in the movies. She fights against the one Cloud Ninja girl and basically just cleans her clock with one massive punch. It's super painful in both versions of the show, and it looks equally awesome. Basically, Sarada indeed has inherited all of the strength of their mother, and maybe even more. I can't wait to see more of her development in the show, as she's always really fun to watch. Even Mitsuki gets to battle against one of the Cloud Ninja, Toroi, not to be confused with the Edo Tensei Toroi that we saw from the very end of Naruto Shippuden. In fact, I think that this character might be some sort of thinly veiled homage to that character, as they both have massive shuriken. They're both from the Hidden Cloud Village, but aside from that, the same names and everything, this Toroi has the ability to infuse his body with lightning, which he uses to move very fast, but Mitsuki makes an absolute fool out of him. It almost looks like he is going to use his hidden abilities here, his Sage Mode, where you get to see that sort of greenish-blue chakra coming out of his body, but he stops himself at the last second and ends up taking him out with some of his signature-styled abilities. We even get Inojin, who has a surprisingly awesome battle in this episode against Araya of the Hidden Sand. Again, another battle that we never got to see in the movie version, and Inojin is actually defeated. He underestimates his opponent, who at first just looks like a normal masked guy with like some sort of weird stick. And somehow this guy with a stick is able to take down Inojin. It's really strange, because Inojin uses a lot of really great techniques, like drawing a lot of different butterflies which surround the opponents. Some of them actually have explosive tags which are mixed in, but this guy manages to fight through all of that, even dodging his weird little creepy lion, and ends up taking him out in one shot. Clearly, the guys from Hidden Sand are pretty impressive. The episode ends as we get the big build-up to Chocho versus Shinky, a match that is 1,000 years in the making. This is going to be really fun. I pray they expand upon this battle in the next episode. The preview looks like that's exactly what they're going to do, as well as teasing the fact that Boruto and Shikadai are going to throw down. This was another important element in the movie, and I can't wait to see what the anime version is going to do with it. So, what's the rundown on this episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations? This was just fighting non-stop throughout the entire episode, and I'm okay with that, but man, it just felt so rushed, and again, I still think they're missing out on some opportunities to expand on these fights, make them more interesting, and to let us get to know these characters just a little bit more. The battle with Yurui was pretty much exactly the way it was in the movie, and I was expecting them to almost expand on it to the point where it could have taken up the entire episode. And I know that there are some people who probably would not like to see that either, because a lot of people want to get through this arc. They want to get to the brand new material, but for people who've never seen it before, this would have just been a perfect opportunity to give us a little bit more from these characters, but at least they did give us some new stuff. The best thing about this episode, though, is that it just feels classic. It really does feel like I'm watching the original Naruto anime series for the first time during the Chunin exam. That feeling of seeing all of these new characters come together, displaying crazy abilities and fighting against one another, just gave me so much promise for the future of this franchise, and I'm seeing it born again in this episode right here. All of these characters are frankly just a lot of fun, and I love it. But this episode just goes by at a breakneck pace. It just starts out with immediate fighting, and it never really stops the entire time. So it almost seems like they're taking a page from My Hero Academia and just getting through the fights in the arc as quick as possible. But again, this Chunin exam arc is really not the major point of this arc. In many ways, the bomb has not dropped yet. We're almost there. What I will say is this was a very fun and colorful episode, which expanded upon some of the parts in the movie, as well as sort of redoing a lot of those elements. Still a pretty good companion piece to that film. This was still a very watchable episode, and for people who've never seen the movie, I have to imagine this was incredibly exciting, which is why I'm going to give this episode a 4 out of 5. Check it out, guys. I'd love to get your thoughts about this episode. Tell me in the comment section below if you watched it, what you liked about it, what your favorite battle scenes were, what you would have changed in some of these battles if you wanted them to expand upon it, and what do you hope to see from Chocho versus Shinky and Boruto versus Shikadai in the next episode, and more of this Chunin exam arc. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more anime reviews. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay down, baby.